Exporting survey points to Google Earth Pro. Using the element selection tool. All right, let's talk a little bit about this element selection tool. This is a great tool. It makes selecting certain elements super easy. You don't have to go hunting down one element at a time or grouping them and then scanning or panning and looking for more of these similar elements. You can use this tool to pick the specific element you want from out of a group of elements, and it works really great. So here is our tool settings box. Once you pick the element select tool, you're going to find you've got this little dialog box, and what you want to do is click on this arrow. Now I know the points that I've placed are cells, but I purposely put other cells in here so that I could show you how we could screen out cells if we're going to just use cell in the selection. So you've got different ways you can pick elements. You can pick them by level, color, element types. I'm going to go ahead and come in here and look for the cell type. When I pick that, the first thing you're going to see is that it's grabbed every cell. Well, I don't want every cell. I don't want these cells here. I just want my points. I just want those cells. So I can also just pick these elements by level. So I could come up here to the level icon and I could turn off all the levels that I don't want. And the only levels that I really do want is the level that these points exist on. And that level is E-control, monument iron, rod found, IRF. And as long as I have that level isolated and that element type, I'm only going to pick the type of cells that I want or the type of elements that I want. Now, why am I trying to group these elements? Why am I trying to isolate them? Well, I'm going to export those in a KMZ file, but additionally, I am also going to select these elements as I've done, and I'm going to label these points with Civil Labeler. Now I don't have to go hunting down all the points and labeling them individually. Okay, so before we move on to the Civil Labeler section, let's just keep in mind that this element selection tool can be used to select all types of elements, not just points, and it doesn't really just have to be in survey. It could be in any particular workflow. You can just go through here and highlight maybe the type of elements you want. If you wanted to select all the text, you could click on text, you could click on text node, and it would select all the text for you. You could pick text by element type, but you could also select text to a specific level, maybe a specific color. So this element selection tool is a great tool. It should definitely be a part of your favorite tool to use. And now let's go ahead and move on to the Civil Labeler section. Using Civil Labeler. All right, now that we have selected our points using the element selection tool, we're going to label our points, and we're going to do that with the Civil Labeler. So I'm going to make sure I'm in my Open Roads modeling workflow. I'm going to go to my Drawing Production tab, and here in the Labels button group, there's only one command, Civil Labeler. I'm going to go ahead and pick that. I'm going to let the Civil Labeler load up all the different types of labels, and I can see here there's a little plus sign. Let me click on that. Now what I'm going to look for is plans-points. There it is. I'm going to click on plans-points. And then I've got to decide what kind of label I want on my points. And I want to get coordinates with name. So I'm going to pick that. Coordinates with name. I want my point name and the coordinates. Let me open this up here a little bit. Now, by default, you'll normally have a leader and it'll be set to auto, but I don't want a leader line. Usually there's a frame, like a rectangle. I don't want a frame around the text, and I don't want a divider amongst that text. I just want to place text next to my point. So I'm making sure I've got my use selection clicked. And what I'm going to do next, I'm going to go ahead and make this a little bit smaller. I want to make sure that my rotation is horizontal. I could do all kinds of different types of rotation. I want mine horizontal. And I'm going to click on place. Now what I need to do is come down here to my view. I'm going to come near one of the points. I don't need to, but I am, and I'm going to left click. And now I can see my points. They're all ready to be placed. And I'm talking on all selected points. Now it's kind of like a blind placement, but I'm going to go around and move them and adjust them where I need. I'm just going to hit another data button, and that's it. Now my points have been placed. I'm going to do a hard right, element select, and I'm going to deselect my points that I picked by going to my element selection tool settings and click on the clear icon, and now I'm done. I'm going to go ahead and close my Civil Labeler dialog box, and here I can make adjustments. I can go ahead and move my text wherever I'd like. I'm going to look at the location of my text. I don't want any of my text crossing any line work, so I'm going to go ahead and just move it. And that's really all you need to do. You can just go over here and investigate every point that you had. Maybe you're happy with where the text has been placed. Maybe, like me, you want to make a few adjustments. And these adjustments, you can just click on the text with the element selection tool, make the adjustment, and now you're going to have a drawing that's ready to be exported. And let me go ahead and check my final points. I don't want them to look bad once I get into my Google Earth Pro. I want to make sure there's no overlap. And let's see, I've got maybe a couple more. Maybe I'm going to miss one or two. I'm trying to hurry up. And let's see, yeah, everything looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and let me move this point here. I kind of want to move it right there. And yep, I'm happy with where everything is. Now, let's go ahead and get ready to export points and Civil Labeler text with ORD. Exporting survey points and labels to KMZ. Now we're ready for the final step for exporting a KMZ file. We're going to include points and our point labels in that KMZ file, and it's going to be real easy to do. What we want to do first is we want to hit the element select tool. Let's go ahead and go to our little drop down, and I'm going to click on element type, and there's two element types that I'm looking for. One is a cell for my points, and the other is a civil label text. I'm going to click on civil label text. What that's going to do, that's going to select my labels and my point. That way I don't have to go looking for them. Now I'm going to check the level icon. I just want to make sure I've got control monuments. I don't have any random cells in here. And my draft plan labels, which is my civil label element type. So I can see they're all selected, ready to go. This is really simple. Once we've got those selected with our element select tool, I'm going to go and make sure I'm in the survey workflow. Now, you know, earlier when we were talking about placing annotation with the civil labeler, I told you to go to Open Roads Modeling Workflow and then Drawing Production and then the civil labeler. But, you know, you're probably going to be working in the survey workflow. And just as easy, the same thing, Drawing Production tab, and there you'll find the civil labeler. Now we're going to stay in the survey workflow. This time we're going to click on the Utilities tab. Then we're going to come over here to the Geographic Button Group. And we're going to look for a little icon right here called Export Google Earth File. So I'm going to click on that. And it's going to export those elements that I had selected. And there it's giving me a little name. .kmz, it's putting it in a folder I created. I'm gonna go ahead and click on the save button, and that is it. The KMZ file has been saved. It will automatically open Google Earth Pro, and you'll be able to see your points and your labels, just like that. And let's see if we can see a few more points and labels. We've got a few more. And you can see, because I moved my text, there's no overlap. All my text is easy to read. And that's it. That's all it takes to export survey points with labels to a KMZ file for use in Google Earth Pro.